Hello everyone, welcome again to my channel. Thanks for the click. I hope you are doing well. So as you can see, today we are going to cover teaching speaking. This lesson, by the way, is very important for all those who want to apply for teaching profession, either in public sector or private sector. So today we are going to see something like ways, techniques, we can also call them activities that teachers can use in the classroom to teach speaking or to encourage students to speak in the classroom. 5 ways to teach speaking in the classroom. We are going to cover each of them. Very important to have an idea about them, so as you can either answer questions related to teaching speaking or you have an idea about how to teach speaking in the classroom. Okay, so the first one that we can talk about is the so-called small talks. Okay, so this is number 1, small talks. And when we talk about small talks, is a kind of short exchange, and that can be used for the purpose of keeping social interaction, social relationships. It is a very short exchange that most of the time starts with a greeting like hi, hello, how are you, etc. It can involve very simple questions like how are you, what are you doing, is that okay, etc. So these are kind of short dialogues or short talks, short exchanges that teachers can use, can encourage in classroom as activities to help students learn the language. Now here in small talks there are some skills that can be required, like for example asking short questions like what we call rhetorical questions, like for example are you, do you, etc. Small talks can also involve what we call back channeling, like for example, is that right? Really? So these are kind of back channeling expressions. Okay, so how do you think teachers can teach small talks? Is very simply through modeling. So you can give short dialogues to students to complete, and then students can create their own small exchanges in pairs or even in groups. So this is small talk. So remember, small talk is a small exchange that's only meant for keeping social interaction and can involve, remember, back channeling and also rhetorical questions. So number 2, and this is very important, is what we call conversations. So we are going from simple ones to the most difficult ones or the most complicated ones. Okay, so conversation is what is very simply longer than small talks, and very simply what you have to keep in mind about the conversation or conversations, there must be a kind of topic. Okay, a kind of topic, or we can call them topics. So if you want to teach conversations, there must be kind of topics. You give students topics or encourage students to come up with their own topics. So conversations are long exchanges and also involves a lot of skills that students should possess, like for example using specific vocabulary, using specific maybe questions, using also a kind of expressions, also keeping the turn or turn taken, etc. These are kind of things that can be involved in conversations, because as I said before, conversation is a long talk, or is a long dialogue, is a long talk. Okay, not like small talks. So this is again, a way to teach conversation is through, for example, giving students dialogues to complete, also providing students with maybe topics to talk about, or encourage students through putting them in groups to think of topics and talk about that. And why not if the topics pop up from what students are doing? For example, if they are reading a text or maybe doing something. Okay, as I said before, it can involve turn taking, it can involve keeping turn, it can also involve asking questions, using specific vocabulary, etc. This is what a conversation might involve. Number 3, and this is also very important, is through what we call transactions. Now, what do we mean by transactions? Very simply, first of all, when we talk about transactions, these have to do with functions, okay? It has to do with function of language. So when we use language to have something done or for some kind of, we can say, services, etc., etc. Now, when we talk about transactions, is the use of language for certain purposes, like in maybe hospital, like in, for example, hotel, ordering taxi, in a restaurant, in cafe. So the use of language in specific context for certain services, not only for certain services, but also for getting what we call information. So this is very important to keep in mind, not only services, but also information. So this here, when we talk about transactions, we talk about functions, and when we talk about functions, we talk about expressions. So students should learn some expressions to order, for example, food, or to book a room in a hotel, or to order taxi, etc., to ask for some pieces of information, like to ask for about time, etc., etc. So this is what you mean by transaction. So it involves asking questions, it involves using maybe appropriate expressions, and a very important way to teach transactions is through asking students to complete dialogues, or most importantly, through role play. So you might ask students to imagine or think they are maybe in a hospital, or think about maybe they are in a hotel or in a shop, and one, for example, to perform the role of a salesman and the other one as client. So this is a kind of role play that can be used in the classroom to help students use language for specific services or for asking about information. So this is what we mean by transactions. So transactions, using the language for specific services to accomplish services, to accomplish maybe some needs. Number 4, and this is also very important, is through discussion. Okay, so number 4 is discussion. And for sure, when we talk about discussion, automatically we talk about what? There is a topic. Okay, there is a topic. Now here you can provide your students with topics either orally, or you write them on the board, or maybe you provide them topics in form of maybe cards, okay, in a form of cards, and you put students in groups. Students discuss each topics. Now, what are the skills that students need to discuss in form of groups? For example, asking questions, using specific vocabulary related to each topic, turn taking, sustaining turns, etc. These are some skills that students need to be involved in discussions. All right, so discussions are very important because students practice the use of vocabulary, especially if the topic you gave them related to a specific kind of vocabulary you taught student, or related to a specific text, maybe something related to reading, etc. So here, discussion involves putting students in groups, giving them certain topics, and students discuss. So another thing that you as a teacher can do while students are discussing is moving around the groups and just listen, trying to see whether students have the capability to take turns, to sustain turns, to ask questions, whether they are using appropriate vocabulary, etc. So this is your turn as a teacher in the classroom. Number 5, and this is the last one, is through what we call presentations. Now, presentations is the last one. So when we talk about presentations, a student can present. It has to do with a speech. So students speak in front of the public, or speak in front of the audience. So presentations involve a lot of skills, like, for example, keeping the audience attention, using specific expressions, vocabulary, using gestures, movement in front of the public, etc. These are skills that students need to learn in order to perform presentations. How do you think we can involve students in presentations or encourage presentations in classroom? Very simply, you can give students topics to prepare in the at home or even in classroom, and then present it. You can also have students work in groups, and then you choose one student to report. So that has to do with reporting the activity or the outcome of a certain activity. Students can also prepare in groups poster, and one of them goes to the front to present or explain or talk about his or the group's poster. So this is what you mean by presentation. And by the way, presentations are very important because it encourages students' self-confidence, also the ability to talk in front of the public, etc. So as I said, we have a lot of ways to teach presentations, either by giving them topics each student prepare, or working in groups, then one report, or working in groups to make a poster and one of the students in the group present. Okay, so these are the most common ways, these are the most common strategies, we can call them, to teach the speaking, to encourage students to speak in the classroom. So we have small talks, we have conversations with topics, and conversations that are a little bit longer than small talks, transactions for functions, for accomplishing certain versus using the language, and discussions through topics, and then presentations, asking students to present. I hope you find this lesson very easy to understand. If you have any question or suggestion, don't hesitate to let me know. See you in another lesson with another topic. Have a good time and goodbye. And by the way, we will talk about speaking in another lesson. See you, have a good time, and goodbye.